Welcome to Tech Recipes. Hello friends, this is the second part of tutorial video on completable future in Java 8. If you haven't seen the first part, you will see the link here at top right video card. You can watch it first. In this second part, we are going to see some advanced use cases of completable future with example. Now the first example or use case that we are going to see is about composing dependent futures. So what I mean by dependent future is like consider two asynchronous operation where the second operation depends upon the output of the first operations. So in this case, both these operations are like a dependent on each other. To take a concrete example, say we need to get a wish list of a user. However, before we call the get wish list asynchronous function, we need to first get the user details. So the get wish list basically depends upon the call to the get user details. Now if we want to make these calls asynchronously on a different thread, what we can use with completable future is a then compose method. So then compose method basically allows us to chain two different asynchronous operation or two completable futures, and it allows us to run them sequentially. So then compose basically takes a function as argument, and it returns the completable future of the final futures result. So let's go and write a code and see the actual example. Now to write code for this compose example, I have created one class compose example. I'm going to copy and paste the delay method which we have been using just to show that the operation is taking some time. So we are going to basically create two asynchronous tasks here, and to do it we will create a method which returns a completable future. So first method that we are going to write is get user details. Now as we have seen in first part of this video, the easier way to create a new completable future is use supply async and pass it as supplier. Now we are going to return user detail as a string. So let's return this. Here we need to return a user detail. So let us also log something like maybe a thread in which we are executing this call. For this we are going to use thread.currentThread.getName. Also let's introduce a delay of 2 seconds for this particular call, and then return maybe user details as a string. So this is our first asynchronous method, is get user details. Now as we have seen, our second call is get user wish list, and it kind of depends upon this detail. So let's write that method. This will also return string and get the wish list, and it will accept user as a string. We will create a similar method here, and let's see it takes more time, say 3 seconds, and maybe we will write return here user wish list. So modify this code as this, and let's also log the user information that we are receiving. Okay, so these are the two asynchronous operation, and we are going to see how we can sequentially run them using then compose. So let's write our main method. So we are going to call first user details asynchronous method, and On that, we can use then compose, and then compose takes another function. Now this argument to this function will be the output of first asynchronous operation. Now our first asynchronous operation returns a string, so we are going to get user detail as a string, and that we can pass to get wish list as a s, and we can return output. Now what, if you can see, what we have done here is we basically calling the get user details, and then whatever output we receive after this asynchronous call, which will take 2 seconds, we are passing that to the get wish list, and what we get here as output is completable future of a final output, which is get wish list output, which is a string output. So let's call it a future. Let's do some other operation in main method just to give you idea that everything is happening in parallel. So let's doing something, and this will take say 2 seconds. If you can see, this method is taking 2 seconds, this method is 3 seconds, and maybe the main method is taking 4 seconds. And after this operation is done, let's print the output that we will get from future by doing the join method. We will also do one more thing. We'll try to measure time taken by this complete operation. Start time to current time in millis, and time this, and let's output the time taken by this method, and time minus start time, and divided by 1000 for second. Okay, so let us run this example and see what output we get. So you can see doing something is immediately printed because it is a asynchronous operation, and then a get user details call happens, and it happens on a different worker pool, which is from a forkgiant pool dot common pool, and we have seen in the first video like why it runs on this thread pool. Also the second, after once this is complete, you can see the user details which we have written from this method are passed here, and that is what printed here. And this call also takes place on another thread, and here we are printing the final output, which is user's wish list. So total time taken is 5 seconds. So you can see that this thing is taken 4 seconds, this thing is the 3, and this is taken 5 2. So total there are 9 seconds, but since we are running this operation on parallel, the total time taken is just a 5 seconds. Now the next example that we are going to see is about independent futures. So consider an example where you need to call a method or a synchronous call to get a user's email from one service, and you are also getting a weather report from some different service. And once you have both of this information, you want to call, you basically want to send a weather report to this user email that we have received. Now both these calls are independent of each other. Like this weather report service does not require user email, so we can basically run those two in parallel, and then once we have this output for these two available, we need to do one action. So now how we can do it using completable future. So completable future allows you to do this using then combine a method. Now then combine takes a by function as an argument as well as a completion stage. So you can call then combine on say get user emails completable future, and then you can pass get weather report, and then you can also pass a function which will get executed once these two are completed. So let's write a code for this example now. So now to write this example, I have created a new combine example class, and also I have pasted the delay method. Now first method that we need to create is for basically getting the user email asynchronously, and the way we did it earlier, we will create a completable future dot supplier sync, and now we will write our supplier here. So here also we are going to return string, so let's return rec.recipe, and we will also add a delay. Getting email takes 2 seconds or maybe 3 seconds, and let's output where we are, and also output the thread on which this code is going to execute. Now for weather report, it will be similar method, so copy paste it and just rename it as get weather. Okay, now let's go to the main method, and here we basically need to run these two methods in parallel and then combine this output and send an email. So now in main method, we will basically call first get user email and use then combine to basically run these two in parallelly. So get weather report in parallelly. Now we need to pass a by function here. Now this by function will take email as well as weather report, which are like a result of these two operation as argument. And in this, let us just first print that sending email to email ID and with report W, and let's add some delay, maybe delay of 1 second, and let's return E plus W as a output of this. Now as we did earlier, like let's do something in a main method just to realize that this code is executing parallelly, and then add delay of 3 seconds in main method, and then do the future dot join. Okay, let's also calculate the time taken. Okay, start time equal to runtime in minutes. And time taken in seconds is in time start time divided by 1000. All right, now we did here is basically we have run get user email and get weather report in parallelly, and then we combine these results into this method where we are trying to send the email, the report to the email. So let us run this example. You can see the do something came immediately, and then get with the report is called as well as get user email. They both run in parallelly, and then we can see the method is called with sending email to this email with report that is written by on the second future, like get weather report future. And if you see the time taken is 4 seconds, and likewise you can see there are this method takes 3 seconds, this method takes 3 seconds, so total 6 seconds, and 7 seconds for this and 3 seconds for this. However, it does not take 10 seconds because these two are executed in parallel, which takes 3 seconds, and since this is sequentially after these 3 seconds, it takes 1 more second, so time taken is 4 seconds for this entire operation to complete. Now so far we have seen how to combine two futures, like we always had two futures which could be combined. Now what if you have use case where you need to wait for like 3 or more than that features. Like you are calling like 10 download services, and you need to wait until all the download is completed. So how can you do it? So it turns out there are two static method provided with completable future class, and we can use it for this kind of use case. One is all of and another is any of, and both of these methods take array of a completable future, so you can pass multiple completable future to these two methods. Now all of waits until all the futures are executed, and whatever futures we are passing, they are executed in parallelly, and any of finishes once any one of all those futures are completed. So say you have a use case where you are calling 4 services, and it is fine for you to uh, complete your work once you have response from any one of those services. Like those 4 services may be sending you the same response, but you don't know which one is working, so you are calling all 4 of them. And as soon as as soon as you receive a first response, you want to complete your code. So for that you can use the any of. Okay, so now let's see a code for these two methods. Now as we have done in other examples, I have created a new class here and also copied a delay method which will be useful. So here I am going to create three completable futures, since we need to show you like we can work with more than 2. So we can also create more than 3 as well, but I'm going to only create a 3 for this example. We will return a completable future dot supply async. This will be a supplier which returns a string. Let's return 1 from method. We will add a delay of 2 seconds, and we will also log future 1. We will also log the thread for this particular completable future. And let's create similarly 2 more futures. We will only call them like future 2, future 3, 2 here, and 2. Let's say that future 2 takes 4 seconds and future 3 takes 1 second. Okay, now in main method what we are going to do is we will create a new we are going to use the completable future all of, and all of can take multiple futures. So we will pass future 1, future 2, future 3. Then we will basically this completable future returns a void. When we use all of, it actually returns void. And let's join it using this. Okay, and what we can do is we can log the timing. Okay, so let's run this example and see what happens. So you can see all 3 of them started simultaneously, but it finished up once one of them is complete, and it probably finished up after the future 2, which took longer, like which taken the 4 seconds to complete, but all of 3 started simultaneously. So this is what the example for all of. Now for any of, let's first copy this code and comment it out, and we will, instead of all of, we will simply use any of here. Now as we have seen, any of returns basically object, and basically we can also print the output here, because any of gives us the output of the first future which completes. So in this example we have 3 futures, right? So future 1 takes 2 seconds, future 2 takes 4, and future 3 only takes 1 second. So expected is this thing should finish within 1 second and should return 3 as output. So let's run it. Now as you can see, it returned the 3 here and time taken is 1 second because future 3 finished first within a 1 second. So this was it for any of and all of. So basically all of waits for all the 3 futures to complete and any of will wait for only one of it to complete. Now the last thing that we are going to see is how to handle exceptions which are thrown from a completable future. So basically there are two methods provided with completable future to handle where we can handle the exception. One is handle, another one is exceptionally. So handle basically get executed or gets called whenever a completable stage or completion stage completes either normally or exceptionally. So it gets called in both the cases, even if it is successful or even if there is an exception. So as argument, we need to pass it a by function and we receive both result and exception in that method. And then there is another option where which is only get called when there is exception and it only receives exception as an argument. So let's see the code for these two methods as well. Now for error handling, let's create a completable future first. Completable future that returns a string value on success. We will use the supply async method as usual, and we will pass our supplier here. Since we need to create an error condition, I will introduce one boolean variable, the error, and I will initialize it as a false. Now if error is true, let's throw a new runtime exception. Runtime exception, and let's say error at future. And if there is no error, let's return success as a string. Now as you have seen, there are two ways we can handle the exception. The first is using handle and passing it a by function. Now this by function will get two arguments. First is a result as a success or a exception as e. So in case of exception, we will get e as a not null value, and we should handle this gracefully. So what we'll do, we will log the error, say e.getMessage, and we will return say some string indicating there was error, maybe a null string. And in case of success, when there is no error, we will simply return the s. And this way our completable future is ready. Now let's do write future dot join console and see how this code works. So I'm running it now. So you can see in this case it returned success because error was false. Now let's turn it as a true and run it again. Okay, now in this case you can see it threw an exception. So it went into this condition and where we logged the error, and since it returned the null, the future.join returned us the value as a null. So this way you can handle the exception. There is another way where we can do it using exceptionally, but here you will only get e as argument and you don't need to check anything here. And this method will only get called when there is an error. And test this as well. We are getting the same message using exceptionally as well. So as you can see, we saw now how to handle exception in case of completable future. Now to summarize, we first saw how to combine and compose two completable features. Then we also saw how if there are many features, how to use all of and any of static methods to work with them. After that, we saw how to handle exception using handle and exceptionally method. Now all this code is available at the GitHub and the link is there in the description, so you can go and check the code. So this was it for this video. Thank you for watching it. I will see you in the next video.